Hello and welcome to the Autocar show. Well, today is a big test for us, not only because of the number of cars, but because the segment is important. Yes, we're talking about the mid-size segment. So many cars, so much confusion, and so much to figure out.
Well, Renuka, the last time you did a comparison, the City had come up top, but then there's been a lot of changes in the segment. New cars have come in, the old ones have got facelifts, new engines, new suspensions, features have come in, prices have gone up, prices have gone down. There's been a lot of churning.
He's doing a lot of talking, but yes, that's the difference that has been made in this segment. There's been so much change that this is like an absolutely fresh new test. Well, we've got all the cars with us, the entire bandwagon, so there's going to be a lot of confusion.
So, as always, I think you should leave it up to us to clear the clutter for you.
Absolutely.
This is a segment that's vastly popular, and in today's test, apart from our technical evaluations, feel-good factor, frugality of a model, value, cost and ease of ownership will also rack up the points. However, it isn't easy to pick out a clear winner. No longer is there much difference between brands and models. It's all quite close, with each one being fit for purpose. But our job is to pick out the best, which is why we have to eliminate some of them. The Renault Scala comes across as a value offering, being spacious and easy to use. However, it seems more like a jack of all trades, which means it doesn't really make an impression anywhere. An average rear seat, along with a lackluster cabin, let it down even further.
Then we have the Linea. This car has style, be it outside or inside. The recent facelift has added sparkle. Factor in competitive price with good ride quality, and the Linea gives you quite some bang for your buck. But what really lets it down is inconsistent quality, a very lethargic engine and poor headroom at the rear.
Next, Nissan Sunny. It is a whole lot better than before, perceived quality takes a big step up and it really does offer oodles of space. However, like the Scala, it doesn't stand out for much else. The comfort of the seats isn't that great, and Nissan's iffy dealer network is really the biggest chink in the Sunny's armour.
It's a similar story for the Ford that could have been the surprise in this bunch. But this well-priced, really good all-rounder that is a joy from behind the wheel is let down by its poor resale value and its limited rear seat space, which means it's not really a car for family buyers. That is sad because its engine and ride and handling combination make it a thoroughly enjoyable car. Well, we've done our job. We've whittled it down to the top few cars, but there's something missing. There should have been another car in these top few contenders.
Yes, Renuka, unfortunately Volkswagen didn't have a Vento to lend us, and that's an absolute shame because it's now become a very rounded package, and it's a car that came across as more complete than the updated Rapid when we tested it a few months ago.
That's right, and it will really be a shame should the Rapid walk away with the top honors, but that's what we're here to find out. Putting these last four cars together, can one of them oust the previous winner, the Honda City? So, let the games begin. If you're looking for a looker, then from the top few, it's still the Honda City that stands out in its aeroform design. Sporty and angular, it creates a great visual. However, its tires do look thin, and the chrome grille is a love it or hate it bit. The Verna in its previous form would have given the City a run for its money, but this facelift version has toned down the cuts and curves and it no longer creates the wow impression as before.
As for the Rapid, well, it could be mistaken for the discontinued Fabia from the front. And though it is really basic in its design, there is an understated elegance to it. There is solidity about the build of the Rapid that is really pleasing. For an additional sum, you could jazz up the Rapid with a black package that would give the car a black grille, headlights, wheels and mirrors. Heads won't turn to see what's passing by when the Ciaz makes its appearance. But it's a clean and neat design that has balanced proportions and is pleasing to the eye. It's something you won't mind living with. Pull the wide opening doors of the Ciaz and you will be greeted by the best interior you've seen on a Maruti this side of the Kizashi. Just like the Ciaz's exteriors, the interior is also not what you'd call radical. Still, it is very pleasing. There's a nice mix of materials here. You get the black top on the dashboard, there's a nice dark wood finish below, and the rest of the cabin is finished in light materials. It's also quite well equipped. But those familiar with other Maruti cabins will also find a few parts shared with lesser cars, such as the power window switches. There is, however, a tremendous sense of space inside the cabin which feels airy and large. The dashboard is uncluttered and set low, which gives you a really good view of what's ahead.
The City's cabin is as good as the Ciaz on space, but it's not as neat. The dash is asymmetrical and set quite high. There is also inconsistency in the way it's put together. The steering feels rich, whereas the hard plastics on the dash come across as opposite. But factor in practicality on storage and user-friendliness, and the City's cabin scores high. The Rapid gets new chrome detailing and a 3-spoke steering that lifts the interior. Though stark in its design and hard in quality, the plastics in the dash give you a feeling of being rich and well built. There is lots of place for storage, but the front door pocket won't hold bottles well as they're not deep enough. And the dashboard feels high for visibility too. The Verna's cabin looks and feels plush. Quality is really good and the two-tone dashboard is pleasing to the eye. With the recent update, we expected Hyundai, who always pack in features, to offer a color screen. But it's the same old one, though it does get a 1 GB onboard storage now.
Speaking of which, let's take a look at the safety and features list on all cars. In top spec form, all cars do get ABS, but where the others get 2 airbags, the Verna gets 6. Interestingly, manual gearbox Vernas no longer come with rear disc brakes, but even base versions get ABS and a driver's side airbag is standard too. Looking at this complicated list can get really confusing, so let's simplify it. We'll compare the top-end variants we are driving while also talking about one level lower on some cars because they could compare easily with the rest. But let's compare some of our favorite features a little closer. All top-end variants here have CD systems with aux input, Bluetooth phone connectivity and steering mounted controls. The Ciaz was the first car among these to get a modern touchscreen interface. But now Honda also offers a VXO variant which gets its own touchscreen interface. However, lower models get a color screen that is operated via knobs, which isn't quite the best approach. All top-end cars also get climate control, with the City being different for its touchscreen interface. However, it's not the easiest to operate without taking your eye off the road. Every car also offers some kind of reverse parking assistance. The City is the only one that comes with a sunroof, but that also adds a lot to the cost. The low variant is as comparable and priced much less. And in this sweltering weather, one must mention that the Verna is the only one without rear seat aircon vents.
Cars with an ex-showroom price of under Rs 10 lakh attract a lower rate of taxes, which translates into a huge saving in on-road price. Correspondingly, these versions are very popular with buyers. Here's what all you get on the sub 10 lakh variants of each. All cars feature 2 airbags, ABS and climate control, as well as Bluetooth connectivity and USB. The City is the only one that does without a CD player. There are a whole host of comparisons that one can make at this level too, but rupee for rupee, it really is the Ciaz ZDI that offers a lot of kit like the rear view cam, rear aircon and part leather seats. Now it's time to put them out on the road and test what's under the skin. The Rapid uses Volkswagen's new 1.5 TDI, which is a downsized version of the 1.6 motor. This helps Skoda benefit from lower taxes. It may be downsized, but it's not down on power or punch. It's nicer to drive. It just delivers power so well. It's available anywhere between 1500 and 5000 RPM, and that's the beauty of this engine. Put your foot down and it's happy to serve up power at any time. So whether you want to trundle around in the city at low speeds or push it and have some fun, it's as happy to do both. And the good part is the more you push it, the better it gets on refinement. The Rapid's engine is clearly audible at idle and at low speeds, but it spoons out as you pick up the pace. Also, it's a good thing that you really don't have to work the gears too much, because though the gearbox is nice and positive, the clutch is quite heavy.
However, if it's refinement you want, then you really have to take a look at the Verna's 1.6-litre engine that also has the biggest numbers on paper. The Verna's engine has been tweaked for efficiency, but as before, the talking point on this motor is its refinement. It's easily the quietest of the engines here. This is also the most powerful of the motors here. The Verna is the quickest to 100, being the only car here to have a sub 10-second time. And the in-gear times could also fool you to believe it's the best. But thing is, as before, it doesn't feel so. It isn't what you'd call punchy, but it's good and more than gets the job done. Where it does feel best is in slow-moving traffic. Power delivery is quite nice, although there is a noticeable step up around the 2000 RPM mark. But couple that with a light clutch and smooth shifting gearbox, it's a very easy car to live with in the city.
Yes, but there's another one well suited to the city, pun intended. It does its job well at ambling around and when you're gentle with the throttle, but mash it down and the response isn't as good. You will still require downshifts to get an urgent move on, and then the notchy gearbox lets it down. Also, in earlier battles, the city's engine used to please on performance, so one was willing to forgive its other faults. It doesn't really do so anymore, with the rest having improved. So it's harder to forget the constant, almost truck-like sound of the diesel engine that's so loud that it was impossible to judge road and wind noise in the cabin.
The Ciaz also uses the same engine as the Linea, but does so much better with the 1.3 multi-jet. It does still suffer from turbo lag of the small engine, but you can get around it by peppering the throttle. As long as you don't mash your foot, the Ciaz will potter around comfortably enough in traffic. The light clutch and smooth gearbox make it even more pleasing, and refinement is good too. What makes it better than expected is that it copes admirably well on the highway too. It revs freely and provides adequate punch.
Well, that's how they perform, but if you do enjoy a bit of spirited driving, you'll also like a car that handles well. Get onto a windy section of road and the Rapid will definitely be the one to please you the most. The steering feels well weighted and accurate, the car feels stable and planted, and even mid-corner bumps like that really don't unsettle it at all. But it's not only the corners. Get out on an open stretch of road, and even at high speed straight line stability, the Skoda just feels like a solidly put together car. It always feels well planted.
Earlier on, the Verna would have been a clear loser in a ride and handling test, but this new version has really improved. The reworked suspension doesn't thud through potholes like before, and it feels far more stable. That said, you still need a firm hand on the steering at high speeds, as it does tend to move around. It's not really the car you'll choose for the dynamics, but no longer is this a deal breaker.
The Ciaz 2 is not a thrilling car dynamically, but it will never let you feel uncomfortable. Now, what works really well for it is its ride quality on the terrible city roads. It rounds off the bumps and potholes well and can be said to be amongst the best riding in this category. If if we're comparing ride quality in the backseat, there's very little that separates it from the Rapid. But it's more than just the ride. The Ciaz's backseat is overall a comfortable place to be. The scooped out backs of the front seat actually open up a lot of space for the rear seat passengers. Leg room is great. The cabin feels spacious since you sit up high and the window line is sort of at shoulder level. It's a nice airy space to be. Another car that does well on space is the City. One thing that sets the Honda City apart from the others, it's really the back seat. The seats themselves are supremely comfortable to be in. They're just cushioned right. And of course, it's spacious. It's got a nice big window area, so the cabin feels very airy. If there's one problem that we have with it, it's the fact that when you do pull out the armrest, it's a bit low. You have to lean down on it. Still, nothing really to complain about. If backseat comfort is what you're after, the City serves it up extremely well.
The Rapid, though spacious enough, doesn't really match up to the City and Ciaz, but it does manage to deal with the roads pretty well. The Rapid loses out slightly to the Ciaz in terms of low speed ride, because where the Ciaz tends to round off bumps better, the Rapid can tend to feel a bit fidgety. But as you get faster, where the Ciaz becomes floaty, this one feels more and more composed, more secure. Before we sum it up, let's take a look at what these cars will do to your wallet. Compare the fuel economy numbers and you'll find none of these cars really guzzle fuel in the city. Even out on the highway, these cars deliver big. Still, it is the City and Ciaz that make the most of their relatively small fuel tanks. The 55-litre tank on the Rapid is the largest here and correspondingly provides maximum range between fill-ups.
Well, a closely fought battle, but I think the answer is pretty clear.
Yeah, let's start with the Hyundai Verna, a car which is hugely improved from before. Hyundai has really taken serious steps to address some of its major shortcomings in the ride and handling department. It's become a car that's a lot easier to recommend than before. But it is still not the best across parameters, which is something that's highlighted in a competition as close as this. Also, it's become quite expensive now, so it's no longer the value package it once was.
I think that's a similar problem for the Honda City, and earlier on in the battle we were really willing to overlook that because the City was a strong all-rounder. But a lot has changed, the entire equation has turned around because they're newer contenders, other cars have pulled up their socks, so it's changed the whole competition quite a bit. Well, unfortunately for the City, it comes across as a little expensive for what it offers, and of course other glaring problems of the City like refinement are highlighted in this competition.
It's all about practicality and value in the diesel mid-size segment, and I think that's something the Skoda Rapid does very well. It's got a punchy engine, it's great to drive, very comfortable, and it comes across as very well engineered too. It's a car that you'd really want to own. Unfortunately, the Skoda also comes with a very poor reputation in terms of after-sales.
And that's something that the Maruti Ciaz can boast of as a strength. Of course, the brand Maruti is very strong and always known for its easy after-sales and maintenance. But apart from that, the Ciaz is also a very strong all-rounder. It performs well, it rides well, it comes well equipped, it's got a nice interior. So it comes across as a great all-rounder at a great value, and that's what makes it our winner.